came back into the market in a very big way.
What we know now is Wall Street can bring down Main Street.
People are seeing this, and those memories of fear are coming back.
When you have a 401k or a 403b, those kinds of accounts, they are incredibly susceptible to downturns.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped more than 900 points. More than 900 points.
There are questions about how to best save for retirement.
Part of the problem is confusion.
Time keeps on slipping into the future.
The first rule in investment is don't lose. And the second rule in investment is don't forget the first rule. And that's all the rules there are.
When the market goes up, you go up. When the market goes down, you don't go down. Safe Money Radio, your money safe and sound.
Welcome to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole. Brad is a retirement and income specialist, primarily serving Springfield, but he's sought after nationally for his expertise in helping people secure their retirements. Mr. Pistole is a licensed life insurance professional in the states of Missouri, Arkansas, and Kansas, and he specializes in working with people who are near retirement and those who have already retired with wealth management, income planning, and asset protection strategies.
Safe Money Radio, your money safe and sound.
And now, here to talk with you about securing your retirement, your host, Brad Pistole.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again on Safe Money Radio. You might be listening on the radio. You might be watching online or listening to a podcast. This is a very, very special show. And I just got to say, no offense to my 1,300 plus clients, my favorite client of all time is on the show today, and you're going to learn why, because I'm kind of a math nerd and a math junkie and all these things you can kind of geek out when it comes to financial services stuff. And I have someone on the show as a guest today that's a very, very special friend of mine, but also his story is just incredible. So Kevin Lynch, thank you for joining us on the show today.
It's my pleasure, Brad. Thank you for counting me as your friend.
Absolutely. Well, listen, what I want to do because there's a lot of people that are listening, but some people, when they find out they can watch this, they're going to see this on YouTube. But I want you to just, if you would, tell us a little bit about your working history. What is it that you do for a living?
As of November the 2nd, I will be celebrating my 15th anniversary as a professor at the American College, formerly of Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. Currently, we are now located in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. I actually, although I have a 15-year employment relationship with the college, this is actually the 30th year that I've been affiliated with them as either a student, a volunteer, or as an employee. Because I took my very first CLU CHFC classes, Chartered Life Underwriter, Chartered Financial Consultant classes from the American College way back in 1993. But my working history, I came home from Vietnam July the 6th of 1970. I started college that fall, and that same fall, I started working part-time for General Motors Acceptance Corporation, which was an automobile manufacturer for GM. And that part-time college job, 28 years later, I was still in automotive lending. And, I had grown from being a young man part-time on the phone to the group vice president for the Western United States for one of the largest lending institutions in the United States. I then made a career change. And I became a nationwide insurance agent, and I built a nationwide insurance agency. And about a decade later, I decided that I really wanted to do more for my clients than auto and home and a little bit of life. So having had my CFP designation way, way, way back, because I knew one day I would come into the field, I actually got my CFP, earned my CFP back in 1991. So finally, in 1998, I became a nationwide agency owner, and in 2006 rather, I left Nationwide. I established an independent agency. A year later, I sold it. I went to work for Thrivent Financial for Lutherans, marvelous firm. I was specifically involved in life and financial services, and I loved it. Well, I had an opportunity in 2009. I came to the American College as an assistant professor. and started teaching in 2009. And again, I'll be celebrating my 15th anniversary with them this year. So I've actually had 3 careers, one in automotive sales finance, one as a financial and insurance and financial services professional, and now for the last 15 years as a college professor. And that will all be coming to a official end in January, when I finally decided that 55 years in the workforce is enough and I'm retiring.
Yeah.
And that's how I came to meet you.
And that's going to be an interesting part of today's story. So for those of you who are listening right now, you should be intrigued. Not only is he a client, we'll talk about how that happened. He's also a colleague. I understand, Kevin, that you know Dr. Wade Fowle, Dr. Michael Finka, which I've had as guests on the show.
Those are very important people in my life. I had the privilege and distinct honor to work with both of them. They are they stand out in their field. They specialize more in the theoretical. I specialize in the practical. I'm a teacher. They're researchers.
Yes, very good.
Well, actually, at one point in time, my office was next door to Wade Fowle's office. So I'm very familiar with Wade. I love his work. I own all his books.
Yeah, fantastic. Such a great story. If you will, so before we take a quick commercial break here, tell everyone how many financial designations you have. And I'll tell you why I want to preface this. You mentioned going to college in 1970, which was 1 year before I was born. Now, we look a lot alike. Yeah. I'm as gray as you.
I got a nice beard, though.
Yeah, you do. And we're about 20 years apart.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I worked really, really hard for my 3 financial designations. I'm an RICP, which I know you are. I'm a CFF and a CAS. And, there are a lot of people in the financial services industry that have no financial designations. Mm-hmm. They took a test and they can sell products to people, but they have no specialty areas, no advanced training. I'm pretty proud of those 3 designations and my affiliation with Ed Slott for 15 years.
And you should be.
But 23 different financial designations, including his CFP. So, friends, stay with us today. My good friend and client Kevin Lynch is on the show with us. We're going to jump into some pretty cool stuff. Remember, he just said and shared he's going to be retiring here literally in just a couple of months, and that's how we ended up meeting. So, if you want to listen more to what Kevin Lynch is going to have to say about his story in the financial services world and how we came to meet and how we got connected, stay with us today. And remember, you can always call into our show anytime at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You can request a free copy of my book, Bulletproof, The Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan, which Kevin read before we talked the first time. Just call in and ask for a copy of the book, and I'll be glad to send it to you, or ask for a free financial consultation. Our number is 866-780-7233, and there's someone standing by right now to take your call. Since I have to take a break, now would be a great time to call me for a complimentary copy of my best-selling book, Bulletproof, The Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan. And I'll also give you a copy of my Safe Money Kit. My number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Isn't it time to stop exposing your retirement to market risk? You're listening to Safe Money Radio with Brad Pistole.
When was the last time you did a beneficiary review on your life insurance and annuity policies? Did you know that many non-qualified joint annuities have incorrect beneficiary designations that completely bypass the joint annuitant from receiving death benefits? Another major mistake made on beneficiary designations can cause your death benefit to be subject to estate taxes or probate. This is something you cannot fix once you die, which is why you should call us now for a complimentary review of all life and annuity beneficiary designations. Your loved ones depend on this money. Let's make sure your money goes where it's intended. Our phone number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You're listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole.
Welcome back to Safe Money Radio. I'm Brad Pistole, a certified financial fiduciary and a safe money retirement specialist. Now, friends, if you're just now joining the show, we have a very special guest on the show with us today, Kevin Lynch, who actually, you're in North Carolina right now,
yes,
right?
I am. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So when you first called into the show, or I tell you what, I don't want to steal that thunder. You tell me how this all started. How did we even meet?
Well, as you mentioned in your book, Bulletproof, when I decided I finally made the decision that I was going to retire. And it's a strange thing because I'm a college professor. I teach 100% online. I love my students. I love what I do. But I just turned 73 years old. And, paraphrasing the famous Robert Kennedy, if not now, when? If not who? If not me, who? I mean, it's time. I need to retire. Somebody else needs to take my seat and carry on the work that's been being done. And I mean, I guess my wife has always assumed that one day she would just come in, find me slumped over my keyboard, and I died right after finishing a class. That's what she's always assumed would happen, because she just didn't think I'd ever retire. But I am retiring. Matter of fact, as you know, first thing I'm doing next year is I'm starting to travel a lot more. I'm coming out to your part of the world. Looking forward to meeting you when I come out.
Coming to Branson.
Yes, I'm coming to Branson. But I've been reading so much about retiring, and I've been teaching financial planning, retirement planning. I'm one of the primary instructors in the CLU CHFC program. I'm a primary instructor in the RICP program. This is what I do. And it's different when you're talking to other people and advising them instead of your own work, doing your own work for yourself. So I had to work as hard for me as I did for my clients back in the day. So I've read, I don't want to exaggerate, but at least 25 different books. And when I read your book, something struck, and it was one of these things like, this guy is not an egghead. He's talking about real life. He's talking about real people. This is the real deal. And if I remember right, I think I sent you an email. And
you did.
I was specifically interested in talking about annuities. And you had a great part in your book talking about annuities and the work that they do and so on. And that's sort of what piqued my interest in why I wanted to talk to you, because the vast majority of books on retirement don't really talk about specific ways to fund retirement. And as a teacher, I knew the power of annuities, right? And far too many people, when they hear about annuities, it's somebody on the television or radio, and they've got negative things to say, and they're not presenting a true picture. I just felt like, you presented factual information. You let the client decide whether this is proper for me. Is this going to work in my situation? And that's what started our conversations. But I want to go back for just 1 second, because I want to make a point. You talked about my extreme number of professional designations. Well, there was a reason for that, because early in my career, I knew that I was spending all my time working in other areas, but someday I was going to be here. And when I got here, I had no chance of being as experienced as the people I would be in competition with. And I said, what can I do that would make me stand out? And I said, the one thing that no one can ever take away from you is knowledge and experience. So I won't have as much experience as my competitors, but I'll know a lot more than they will. So I made it a point to be the smartest man in the room when it came to advising clients. And I'm not saying that I got there, but I've been on that journey now ever since 1987. Well, actually, 1985 when I got my first advanced degree. So I've been committed to education my entire life, not only teaching it, but absorbing it. So that's why incredible. I have all the designations, and that explains why I was doing so much research when it was time for me to retire.
Well, our good friend Ed Slott says, the more you learn, the more you earn.
That's right.
And so there's a lot to that. And so I appreciate your education, your knowledge. As you and I both know, I counted at one point, I know we had more than 55 emails back and forth in the early days of what should we do. And we talked about, as you know, everything under the sun, because you have Vanguard accounts, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, but the missing piece was guaranteed lifetime income.
Exactly correct.
And no annuities there, even though you knew all this information.
Mm-hmm.
But I will share this. I will never forget. I'm a visual learner.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know people are listening right now. Some people are watching. I'll never forget what you said in one of our Zoom meetings when I asked you, like, Kevin, how will I ever explain to anyone that an American college professor from North Carolina saw me online, ordered my books, read both of them, contacted me, and wants me to teach him about this when he has vast amounts more knowledge than I do.
Yep.
And you said something that you said this a minute ago, but you used your hands. You said, I realized I had all this information, but when it came to my own retirement planning, I couldn't put it all together for my own plan. I'm used to helping everyone else doing it.
Yep.
And that's why, and it's always reminded me, it clicked with me when you said that, Kevin, that the best coaches have coaches.
That's exactly
the best
true.
advisors have advisors.
My students,
the top people in their business, have someone teaching them. So
my students are always amazed when I tell them that I have a planner. And they say, God, Kevin, why would you possibly need a planner? You know more than they do. And I said, you don't understand. I do fine managing your money, okay?
Right.
But I'm emotional about my money, okay? Brad's not emotional about my money. He's going to handle my money just like he would anybody else's. Maybe a little extra attention because I'm his friend. But the point is, when you're managing your own money, you have blind spots. And you don't know. You never know what you don't know. And I was just very much aware that as knowledgeable as I am academically relative to products, I'm not a product purveyor. I don't have the inside track. I don't know which one pays the most. I don't know which one has the best rates. Because, again, I'm not in the industry. I'm with the industry, but not in it. So it was obvious to me that I had to find someone that was going to be honest, straightforward, that was going to present the facts, and then let the client make the choice. And that's what I found in you.
Kevin, thank you so much. That's so good. And so if you're listening right now, I just want to say this. Have you ever been overwhelmed by the difference in a 401k and a 403b and a TSP and an IRA and a 457 and a 401a? I mean, I could go on and on. I know your head's spinning. But the average client, including someone who came in my office yesterday, who's worth millions, they're going to retire December 1st. They're worth millions. They had no clue whether or not what they had was a 401k or an IRA, or they didn't know what NQ was, non-qualified. So I say all that to say, it doesn't matter your level of success, whether you're worth $10,000 or $10 million. This stuff is really, really confusing. And that's why Kevin and I study it all day long, every day, to be able to help the average consumer. So if you're listening right now, we don't want you trying to figure it out on your own. You go to a doctor for medical issues. You go to a dentist when you have a toothache. You go to a CPA to help with your taxes. And you should be working with a financial professional when it comes to your retirement income plan. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It's not easy to do. So call us anytime. We'll give you our information free. We'll meet with you free. We do not charge fees to do our consultation. So 866-780-7233. Call us anytime. We'll be glad to help. Well, I must take a short break. This is Brad Pistole, and you're listening to Safe Money Radio. Let's pause for some exciting announcements.
Are you concerned about long-term care? You're also probably concerned about paying the high cost of long-term care coverage and increasing rates. Some long-term care rates have increased by as much as 40%. Thanks to recent changes made by Congress, you may be able to use non-qualified tax-deferred retirement money to pay for your long-term care tax-free. Some hybrid long-term care annuities or life insurance solutions can even double or triple your funds available for care. If you have non-critical health issues, you should still call us. Some insurance products have simplified underwriting, and a simple telephone interview will determine your qualification. Call us now if you want information on this opportunity to use tax-free money to pay for your long-term care. Our phone number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You're listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole.
Thank you for tuning in to Safe Money Radio. I am Brad Pistole, a market risk mitigation specialist helping clients with retirement money preservation and income planning. Okay, Kevin, we want to jump into the next part, so let's start putting some flesh and meat on the bones here. You sent me an email. It was on a Sunday. I emailed back and I said, hey, I noticed you have a Texas cell phone number here. You know I'm in Ozark, Missouri, right? I always like to fill that out because sometimes people hear me on the radio and they think I'm next door. And you're like, well, I don't even live in Texas. I live in North Carolina. And I'll never forget what you said. You said, I won't be your average client. Just look at my signature line. So Brad scrolls down real quick and looks at the signature line, sees 23 different financial designations, including CFP and RICP. And I'm like, wow. And then we start talking, and about 50 emails later, we're digging into the nuts and bolts of what the missing piece is in your own retirement income plan. And we really started talking about annuities and guaranteed lifetime income, and then comparing all kinds of specific annuities, multi-year guaranteed annuities, fixed indexed annuities, income riders, what all that means. So tell us a little bit about the journey and why you decided to take money out of the brokerage world and to purchase guaranteed lifetime income. Why did you do that?
Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, I knew emotionally that my wife and I, over the last few years, and I made a mistake one time. I made a mistake of telling my wife in the depths of 2020 that we had lost over $200,000. Now, you and I both know Kevin never lost $200,000 because Kevin never sold anything. Okay,
Right.
I write it out. I'm in, and I'm staying in. Right. So anyway, by the end of 2020, most of that had come back, and then we had since then we've had the market gyrations. The problem is that even though my advisor, who I trust implicitly, she's a wonderful young woman, and I would point out, folks, always try to get an advisor who's younger than you, because you want him to be there, he or she to be there if something happens to you to take care of your spouse. So anyway, she was assuring me that with the volume of funds that we had, that everything was going to be fine. I didn't need to worry about market gyrations. Well, I'm sorry, but in my heart, that I understood she was telling the truth as her truth. But in my truth, I didn't want to go through losing a large sum of money because, as Brad knows and I know, the worst thing that can happen when you retire is for the market to go down right as you retire. So
That's right.
I made a decision that I needed to move part of my money out of the market so that it wouldn't be affected by market gyrations. So the next question was how much and where? And that's where I started talking to Brad. But I made the decision that a series of annuities for different amounts and that I could hold for different periods of time would allow me, as I retire 2 or 3 years later, I turn one annuity on, 3 or 4 or 5 years later, I turn a second annuity on. And what am I doing? I'm making sure that I am protecting myself with a stream of income. Is it inflation protected? No, but by turning it on every 3 to 5 years, I'm doing the inflation protection on my own. So it doesn't matter what the market's doing. Now, I moved a considerable sum out of the market, but I still probably around 50% is in annuities and safe money. The rest of it is still in the market. So right now, if in the money that is still in the market, again, it's 1/3 is Roth, about 1/3 is taxable, and the other third is deferred. It's still in my 403B plan since I'm a college professor. So even our invested money, but now all of our invested money is in equities. Why? Because my bond money are my annuities. What are bonds supposed to do? Produce income, protect you from market gyrations. That's exactly what my annuities are doing. So the money that's in the market that I don't need to spend is having the greatest opportunity to grow over time. So it was a combination of all those things. And for those of you listening, I know that was a lot of information, but Brad will explain it to you when you meet with him because he understands it like I do. But the point is, once you make a decision that you're going to protect part of your money and make that safe income or safe money, that's where your paycheck in retirement will come from. Then the rest of the funds that you have invested, you can afford to let it be in a more risk-oriented investments like stocks and bonds and mutual funds and ETFs and things like that. So again, once you've got your income secured, then you're free to really do what you need to do with the rest of the money because you know you're taken care of.
That is so good. I want to piggyback on that with a few things and talk about some of the things you said. So both Hunter and I and Kevin, we are retirement income certified professionals through the American College of Financial Services. And you'll hear Dr. Wade Pfau often say in his books and in person, I've interviewed him about it on the show, you'll hear him say what used to be stocks and bonds is now stocks and annuities.
Yes.
And why is that? Well, it's because of the guarantees attached to the annuities, because we all learned in 2022 stocks and bonds went down, and bonds went down worse than the stocks did.
It's a rare
Yeah,
occurrence.
so when you're expecting that inverse relationship, but they both go down, and Kevin said it best,
Yes.
the worst time to lose money is right after you retire. I talk about it in the book, The Triple Whammy. You retire and start taking distributions while the market's going down, while you're paying a fee to the advisor. You will end up so upside down, your head will spin off.
And
so
that was our biggest fear. That we had gone through it once, and most of you, if you don't understand, folks, what happened in 2020. In the financial world, not in our regular world, we had a terrible situation then, but in the financial world, it was basically there would never been another time like that. There's been plenty of times the market has dropped, but to come back within 8 months, that just doesn't happen. As you've seen, because ever since then, throughout 22 and 23, the market has been down, and it goes, you'll have a good day. Yesterday was a good day. A couple of days ago was a good day. But if you look for the last 60, 65, 75 days, the market's been down probably 70% of the time. That's unusual. Yeah. But meanwhile, if I would have retired in June, I would not be happy right now. Okay.
Right.
So I made the decision in July that this wasn't going to happen again. So we moved a bunch of money out of the market. And I wrote Brad the other day, a week or two ago, and thanking him again for advising me on my annuities, because, and these are real numbers. Since I bought the annuities in value have grown about $9,768. I have lost, in the money that's still in the market, I have lost almost $62,000. So if I would have had the money that is in my annuities, had I left it in the market, I wouldn't be down 62. I'd be down around 124. So I'm very happy that I did what I did, and I'm please don't misunderstand. I am not recommending market timing. Absolutely not. Right. That's not what I'm saying. But because I made the decision when I did, that decision has benefited me because my annuities have grown in value, but my market, my investments have gone down. Now they're going to come back. I have every faith that this time next year it'll look a lot better. Okay, or in 2025, I'm expecting it to be better. So the good news is, because of my annuities, I can afford to wait for it to come back. I'm not spending the money, and that's the problem. If you're spending your money out of your portfolio as the market's going down, every dollar that you spend to live on, you now have to earn more than that $1 to put it back in to get back where you started from. So again, it's
absolutely.
A decision.
That's so good. And I want to pick up on that when we come back from the break. So if you're listening right now and you're like, yeah, this sounds like my story. I'm watching my brokerage account and I'm trying to retire and time it and I can't do it. Well, there's a way around that. And we can help put bumpers. It's like going bowling and you've got the special bumpers, right? We can keep you from that gutter ball. So call us anytime, 866-780-SAFE. 866-780-7233. Read the same book that Kevin read that started all this, Bulletproof, the Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan, with the foreword by America's IRA expert, Ed Slott. And we'll give you a copy absolutely free. 866-780-7233. Since I have to take a break, now would be a great time to call me for a complimentary copy of my best-selling book, Bulletproof, the Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan. And I'll also give you a copy of my Safe Money Kit. My number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Isn't it time to stop exposing your retirement to market risk? You're listening to Safe Money Radio with Brad Pistole.
If you were born between 1946 and 1964, you are part of an unprecedented generation of 76 million Americans known as the baby boomers. Have you taken steps to secure your retirement future with options to limit the loss of your principal retirement funds from market risk while utilizing key tax advantages? Why not ease the burden of transfer of funds to your heirs and insulate your money from the shocks of an increasingly volatile world economy? Give yourself and your family peace of mind and certainty that your retirement funds may have the opportunity to accumulate without the risk of market loss. So call us now at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. It's time to start being safe. You're listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole.
Welcome back. I'm Brad Pistole, your host of Safe Money Radio. I am a capital preservation and strategic income planning specialist working with clients right here in Springfield and Ozark, Missouri. Now, before the break, friends, if you're just now tuning in, if you're just now hearing the show, we have good friend Kevin Lynch on the show with us today. He is an American college professor with more than 50 years of experience, and he is going to be retiring soon because he's 73. So I want you to hear from someone who has 23 different financial designations, including his CFP and his RICP. But I want to start by saying something, because before the break, and if you missed this, just go to YouTube. You can watch the entire interview. You can pause and rewind, because we're both in the industry. We talk fast. So you can watch it at whatever speed you need to. But here's something he was saying before the break. He mentioned something that Tom Hegna, world-renowned economist, Ed Slott, America's IRA expert, Michael Finke, Wade Fowle, they all talk about this. He talked about owning multiple annuities. He purchased 4 annuities in 2023 after we did a lot of financial planning, and he did it for a reason. Why didn't he just put all of his eggs in one basket? Well, part of that is because of tax status. That's got to have separate accounts, but we even split an IRA into 2 different buckets, and there's a reason why, or 2 Roths. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why. Being able to trigger income at different times. Tom Hegna will say, I own 11 annuities and I'm going to own more. And, he's semi-retired right now, even though it doesn't look like he is. He's still all over the world. Well, why does he own 11? Because he wants to trigger one at 60 and one at 62 and one at 65 and one at 67. That's the way to outpace inflation, by triggering income buckets at different times and letting that money stay in there in deferral and grow until you need it. Mm-hmm. So, Kevin, I know you purchased 4. Talk a little bit about that, why you choose to put it in more than one bucket and why you own 4.
Well, it's basically exactly what you just said. Another big danger in retirement, the negative about an annuity is, well, annuities are static. In other words, if I retired today and it's paying me $1,000 a month, 10 years from now, it's still going to pay me $1,000 a month. That's fine. But how do you, what about the fact, well, 10 years from now, your 1,000 won't buy as much? True. So what I did was, instead of buying one giant annuity and like putting all the money into what you and I understand is a single premium annuity, right? I bought 4. I'm going to start one of them in 3 years, one of them in 5 years, one of them in 7 years, and the other one at 10 years. So I'll be going from 73 to 83. By the time I get to 83, my Social Security income and my income coming from my annuities will automatically have taken care of the increases or inflation and these, because every 2 to 3 years I get another stream of income starting. Now, I'm realistic. That's right. I believe that I will be on earth as long as God wants me to be here, and not one day longer. Yeah. Unfortunately, as much as I've asked, he has never told me when that last day is going to be. So I have to plan. It is a mystery, right? So we plan for the we plan for the best, and we hope for the best and plan for the worst. So realistically, I probably will live into my mid-80s, hopefully longer, but about that's reasonable to assume mid-80s. Nobody's promised tomorrow, but that's what I'm planning for. So if that's true, then by the time I get to 83, okay, and that's going to happen in a unique year also, because most of out there, you hear the news about Social Security and it's going to be in trouble in the year 2034. It might come back 20%. That's fine, because in the same year, I've got my last annuity starting. So if Social Security goes down, my annuity will keep me where I was. That's another thing I've planned for, because I know these things can happen. But that's basically it. It's just like what you were mentioning before. Tom Hegna, same theory. I love Tom. I love his videos. I actually had the uncomfortable responsibility to follow him onto a platform one time after he had been speaking. And the first thing I told the crowd was, that was Tom Hegna. That's not me. Okay. I'm here to teach. He was here to entertain. But yeah, he's a wonderful man. But that's exactly what it was, Brad. I simply wanted the different annuities to do different things at different times. And as you know, each of the ones that I purchased have that ability to earn while they're delayed. So I'm earning a very decent return for every year that I delay, just like Social Security. For those of you that are thinking, should I take Social Security at 62 or should I wait until 70? I waited until 70. Now, again, everyone doesn't have that opportunity. If you need the money early, you take the money early. But I could wait, and I did. So I maximized my benefit, not only for me while I'm living, but for my wife if I predecease her, because she'll get my benefit, which is big, not her benefit, which is small. Okay, so,
right.
You know that's part of it. It's the same idea, streams of income at different times. And you mentioned Wade Pfau, and I'm not trying to put a plug in for Wade, but I love him. He's a wonderful man. But he and his partner have developed a tool, and it's called the RISA, RISA. And if you go to Wade Pfau's website, you can take the RISA for free. And what it does,
and you can take it on ours.
And you have it available. See, and the point is, once you take that tool, it will tell you based on your answers what your retirement, what's the word?
Retirement retirement income style awareness.
Well, when I did it, and Brad will understand this, I was lower left quadrant, higher right quadrant. Okay.
Yeah.
And what is that? Safety first. So my soul was telling me, you need an annuity. So it's simply the case.
Right.
I had to find the right one from the right person with the right explanation. And that's how I met Brad.
Well, what's so funny is we're going to take a break. We got 2 more quick segments, so stay with us. But I told Kevin after our first meeting, I want you to take something called the RISA, the Retirement Income Style Awareness. And he wrote back and said, I've already taken it twice. And then he said, I took it a third time for me, and it was the same thing every time. So if you're listening right now, we will allow you to take the RISA free. It is not free, but we pay for it for all of our clients. So just contact us anytime. 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Ask for a free copy of my book, Bulletproof, the Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan, or say, hey, I want to take the Retirement Income Style Awareness Questionnaire, and we will send that to you free of charge, and it will send you a customized report. Our number again is 866-780-7233. Stay with us. We'll be back right after the break for 2 more segments. This is Brad Pistole, your host of Safe Money Radio. I'll be right back after this informative message.
Have you recently changed jobs and now you have a 401k or another retirement account you don't want to expose to the risk of market loss? You've worked too hard to leave your retirement to chance. Since you'll probably start another retirement account at your new job, why not ensure your old account provides you principal protection, the opportunity to participate in the market with locked-in accumulation, and a guaranteed lifetime income? We can help you roll over the retirement account from your previous employer and identify products that provide the potential of index-linked credited interest while limiting market risk. Did you know that if you're age 59 and a half, you may be able to use money out of your employer's plan even if you're still working there? Call us now and ask about bonus options on your retirement money with a fixed indexed annuity. Imagine putting your money on an elevator that only goes up. It might stop on a few floors on the way up when the market index goes down, but you won't go back to visit the lower floors. Our phone number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You can get your complimentary copy of Brad's best-selling book, Bulletproof, the Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan, by calling us now. That number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You're listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole.
Welcome back to Safe Money Radio. I'm Brad Pistole, a certified financial fiduciary and a safe money retirement specialist. Okay, Kevin, so before, I know we've talked about a lot in our first 4 segments today, 2 more to go. I want you to talk about one thing. You beautifully illustrated why you own 4 annuities that you purchased in 2023, but you also talk about how you still have about half of your money in the market. Mm-hmm. And the beauty to why you purchased the annuities instead of using bonds because of the fluctuation and the lack of guarantee there, mm-hmm. You know, your annuities also give you some other protections that are there that nothing else can give you. You have an income doubler potential on your annuities. So you might talk about that. A lot of people don't realize that there are some long-term care like benefits that are associated with their annuity. So tell us why you not only purchased the annuity you did, but the specific type of income rider that you purchased for your annuity.
Absolutely. I am fortunate in that a number of years ago, when I was coming out of the world of investments prior to coming to the college, I had an employer who had as a fringe benefit, you could sign up for long-term care. Now, whenever you're brand new to a company and you're signing up for benefits, they're never underwritten. So just if you want it, just sign up. Well, I did. So I have long-term care, and it's a pretty decent policy because when I left the company, it was portable. I could take it with me, and I did. So I've had long-term care insurance since I was 55 years old. And again, this is my personal opinion. This does not represent the opinion of the American College or Brad. But to me, the perfect age to look for long-term care is 55. You're young enough to qualify, but you're old enough for it to make a difference. So just wanted to throw that out there, folks. If you're thinking about it, talk to Brad. He can help you with that too. But the point is, I have long-term care, but my wife does not. She could not medically qualify for long-term care. So I had a choice. That means I've got to self-fund or find a hybrid product that would enable me to do that. Well, I tried that. I went to a wonderful company that had a great product. Unfortunately, again, Kim couldn't qualify. So you and I started talking, and you mentioned the income doubler. I had heard about it, but I had never experienced it because when I was selling annuities, that didn't exist because that was 15 years ago. So it's a new product, it's a new idea, and basically what happens is, again, the longer I wait to turn on my income, the better it is for income and for Kim's protection. Because once we turn on the income, actually I don't even have to turn it on. As it grows, if I decide that she needs long-term care, that will trigger turning on the income. And let's just say, for example, that I was going to get $2,000 a month. The income doubler is going to make it $4,000 a month, as long as myself or my beneficiary, and you correct me if I'm wrong, and either one of us needs long-term care, then that money will start paying the long-term care under the same or very similar circumstances to, two activities of daily living, in a nursing home, whatever the things are that you qualify for under long-term care. Those things exist within the doubler as well. So
that's what's really,
that was the second motivating factor for me. Not only did I want the guaranteed income, because I could have got that from a number of different annuities, but this particular company, their doubler was I think was stronger than some of the doublers I had seen in other products, which is why I went that way. But now I know that as long as those annuities are in place, if something happens, Kim won't have traditional long-term care, but will have the cash to be able to pay for the long-term care that she needs. So that was my motivation. That was part of it. The income doubler was important in my decision on which annuity to buy.
Very good. So, Ed Slott was here, as you know, in Springfield, Missouri for the first time ever back on September the 12th. Yep. And he talked to a packed house. We had about 50 people on a waiting list. And during the conversation with everyone, he says, he talks about why he owns annuities, why he owns life insurance. And he said, I don't know if they're available here in Missouri. You'll have to ask Brad because he lives in New York. But he talked about income doublers on annuities and how you have special type of riders on life insurance policies now, permanent life insurance policies. And so when I got up after he spoke, the first thing I said was, yes, we have them. Yes, they're approved. You need to talk to me about that because every single company has a different bell, a whistle, a twist, what you have to do to qualify. But the neat thing is, if you're in a situation like Kim is in your situation where she doesn't medically qualify for traditional long-term care, you might be able to purchase a specific life insurance policy or an annuity, no medical underwriting with the annuity, that has an income doubler that will kick in if you can't perform 2 out of 6 ADLs, activities of daily living. You can use it for home health care, however you want to use it. It's letting you double that income during the period of time that takes place.
And the other thing, the other point you made, and this was very important, and I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty because Brad sells different annuities and they have different benefits, but in the one that he got for me, I would say, well, what happens if I use up all the money? Well, if I use up all the money, I still get my income. I just don't get the doubler. So even though I'm getting that extra benefit in the time that you need it, because folks, in case you don't know, the average person who goes on needing long-term care, for females and males, there's a difference of about 18 months, but you're talking about somewhere between 2.5 to 4.5 years. So it's not like, now, are there people that are there for 20 or 30 years? Yes, but that's the anomaly. The average individual, when you need long-term care, it tends to be towards life end, and it tends to be for a shorter period, 2.5 to 4.5 years. And the income doubler will certainly last that long. So it's and the ones that I have would last that period of time. But the icing on the cake was that even if you used up all the money, the regular annuity payment keeps on coming.
That is so powerful. People don't get that. They say it's too good to be true.
Yep.
But I always say to everyone, hey, if you have a life insurance policy and you make one payment and you drop dead, what happens? Well, they pay you the benefit. Well, what if it was $1 million policy? They pay the $1 million. That's too good to be true. No, that's called a contractual guarantee.
That's right.
And the same thing is there. We want the same thing. What if we buy a brand new car and we insure it and we drive out onto Campbell Avenue and someone T-bones us and totals our car?
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? They give you a brand new car. You get a check for that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have insurance, and you can insure your retirement. Yeah. Even if, just like Kevin said, you draw the money all the way down to zero because of the income doubler, it reverts back to the single payout for the rest of your life, even though you're at zero in your balance. The insurance company's paying you your income for the rest of your life. And those of you listening right now, that's what we want. We want you to never run out of money in retirement. We don't want there to ever be a time when you wake up and say, hey, I'm 87 years old and I'm completely broke and I have to go greet at Walmart at 2 a.m. because I can't make ends meet. We don't want you to ever run out of money. That's why it's good to not have all your eggs in one basket, to have still some brokerage accounts, some tax-deferred accounts, but also some things held in something that's guaranteed. If you want to learn more about it, give us a call, 866-780-7233. Ask for our free information. There's someone standing by to take your call. Since I have to take a break, now would be a great time to call me for a complimentary copy of my best-selling book, Bulletproof, The Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan. And I'll also give you a copy of my Safe Money Kit. My number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Isn't it time to stop exposing your retirement to market risk? You're listening to Safe Money Radio with Brad Pistole.
Did you know that your Social Security could be much higher depending on what option you choose for claiming your benefit? Social Security income is not as simple as some think. When should you take it? Should you only take your spouse's benefit while you continue to work? Deciding how to receive your Social Security benefit can make your head spin. Don't decide about your retirement without the facts. Call us now and ask for your complimentary Social Security guide at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You're listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole.
Thank you for tuning in to Safe Money Radio. I am Brad Pistole, a market risk mitigation specialist helping clients with retirement money preservation and income planning. All right, Kevin, I appreciate so much having you on the show. And I know we've talked about, I've said, hey, I'm going to have you on as often as you want to be on. When you retire, I'm going to be calling you saying I need you back on. So it's just so unique to be able to interview someone on Safe Money Radio. And I've had all kinds of guests, incredible people, as we've mentioned already, but someone who's in the industry, who's a college professor at the American College, who has all these financial designations. You understand all this stuff inside and out. You teach it. But when it comes to your own personal retirement plan, just like I did myself, I have advisors that do my plan with me.
Yep.
And you have an advisor doing your plan
Well,
with
like
you. That's what we
I
all
wasn't
do.
going to be your normal client because you mentioned the email. Folks, I want to promise you, I inundated this man. I made him dot every I, cross every T, show me examples, and he proved every single thing I wanted to know. And I have to think sometimes if I would have had a client that was as big a pain in the butt as I was to Brad, I would have told him to go away. But he didn't. He answered every single one of them. And I just knew because, again, when you're talking to a rocket scientist, telling them how to build a rocket, you better know what you're doing. And I guarantee Brad knew everything he said. I knew to be factually correct because, again, I teach this stuff. So I knew he was correct. And my concern, my search, the reason I went out and found an advisor is because my clients, my students would ask me, Kevin, why do you have so many designations? And I would tell them, and my personal motto is, you can never know it all, but you can also never know too much. So
that's it.
Just because you're gifted in an area, I will guarantee you Wade Fowl has an advisor. I happen to know who his advisor is. I know that Michael Finca has advisors. Anyone who is successful in this world has a coach or an advisor or someone. Some of us are fortunate enough for that person to be our spouse. Many of us, however, I love my wife dearly, but she's not a money manager. Okay. I've been married for 50 years. Next June, I've had 2 jobs in my 50 years. I drive everywhere and I pay for everything. That's what I do.
That's great. That's great. Hey, friends, if you're listening right now and you want to know more about what we've been talking about on today's show, just give us a call. We will give you a copy of a few things. I want to give you a copy of Bulletproof, the Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan. I also want to give you a copy of what we call our Safe Money Kit. And then just if you are a reader and a studier like Kevin is, like myself, I have a full library here of Tom Hegna's books, Wade Fowl's books, Ed Slott's books. We are a source and we give the books away to our clients free. We want you to be educated about the decisions you're making. You can ask Kevin personally. I mean, to me, it means so much to have you on the show, but because of the fact that you are willing to just like I've done in my own life, ask me where my investments are. Ask me what I do. I own 7 annuities, okay? I own 10 life insurance policies. I own 9 now. 1 was on my father who's passed. There's a reason why I own stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, life insurance, real estate, okay? I've spread things out in farms, 3 farms, into different places, but I also want to be able to pick up the phone and call someone like Kevin and say, hey, what do you think about this? Let's talk about this, and be able to talk to my other colleagues who know more than I do about what it is that we're doing. So friends, don't pigeonhole yourself. Don't just be talking to one person because you heard one commercial or one thing on the radio. Do some research. Find out what their financial designations are, what their background is, who they're connected to, and then take your time. Kevin and I worked on this for months. 55 plus emails, and we still talk about his situation all the time. So, Kevin, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. I know we're going to have you back again.
My pleasure.
But those of you who are listening, just call in anytime, 866-780-7233. Ask for a free financial consultation, and you'll be able to watch this online and watch it rewind and go back and forth as much as you want to. It'll be on YouTube and also our podcast, Safe Money Radio, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast. Thanks so much for listening. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Well, I'm about out of time, and I would like to thank you for listening to Safe Money Radio. If you're serious about your financial future, give me a call, and together we'll get your retirement savings on the fast track to accumulation while reducing exposure to market losses. Thanks for listening, and until next time at the same time, I'm Brad Pistole, reminding you to stay safe so you can step into a secure future.
Safe Money Radio, your money safe and sound.
You've been listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole. Find out how to contractually guarantee that your hard-earned money is safe while avoiding market loss so you can have the retirement that you deserve. Call Brad Pistole now for your complimentary Safe Money book and Safe Money information kit at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233.
Safe Money Radio, your money safe and sound.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Surrender charges apply to base contracts. Optional lifetime income benefit riders are used to calculate lifetime payments only and are not available for cash surrender or in a death benefit unless specified in the annuity contract. Fees may apply. Guarantees are based on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the insurance company. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified and licensed professional. Obviously, by calling us now, you are just taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. It's important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Rates and returns mentioned on this program are subject to change without notice.